Today we're talking about an old 22, an old Winchester 22. As we get started today, I want to welcome you to the Hideout. Make sure you click subscribe, make sure you click like, make sure you click the ringy dingy before we get started, and now let's go. Alright, as you just saw just a few minutes ago, I had this old 22 outside and we just popped off 5 rounds like you wouldn't believe. It's an old 22. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of background because I got into this thing just a little bit strange, but anyway, we did. A friend of mine has this old 22. It's a 1952 model. He's having some trouble with it. It shoots 22 long rifle, 22 short. It's got a 22 short hung up in it. Now, I'm going to give you a look at it. This is a 1952 model, Winchester Model 62A. The A meaning it was an update to it. They started making these things about 1938. They quit making them in about 1960. About at 58 to 60, about a 20-year time period. They're kind of neat because they're a takedown. Got one little screw right here. You unscrew that screw, it does not completely come out, and the whole weapon comes into 2 pieces. Slide action or pump action. It's neater than hell. There's something really special about this one right here though. We know where this one came from. We know Mr. Stricklin bought this, or we're assuming Mr. Stricklin bought this. It belonged to Mr. Stricklin. This is a 1952 model. Now I've done just a little bit of research on it because this thing's got some odd characteristics. It's got the regular old rear sights back here. Nice looking front sight, nothing unusual. The one thing is, a couple odd things about it though, is you can't see the rear sight unless the hammer's down. That's good, and we're going to talk just a little bit more about that. But let's think about this thing. This belonged to Mr. Stricklin. It's been passed down. It's been sitting in the closet for years. You know, people collect spoons, people collect shot glasses, people collect buttons, people collect guns. But what we all have is something that we remember our previous generations, our moms and our dads and our grandpas, and it's always special to us. And no matter who you are, if you ever knew your grandparents, most of the time you have fond memories. Sometimes we're unfortunate and we don't have these. Mr. Stricklin loved this rifle. He loved it enough to have his name put on it. Now let's talk just a little bit about it. 1952, this thing sold for under 20 bucks. Now, today, you buy a 22 rifle for under $300. When this thing sold back in 1952, it sold for the equivalent of about $675. So in 1952, Mr. Stricklin, I'm assuming Mr. Stricklin because it's his gun, paid his left arm to get this 22 rifle, and he put his name on it. So he's exceptionally proud of it. Today we use 22s for plinking. Very seldom do we shoot 22 shorts anymore. Most of the time it's 22 long rifle or 22 Magnum. This thing was loaded with 22 shorts. So this thing was not for plinking back in the day. This was your grocery getter. This right here took your squirrels to the house and your rabbits and kept some varmints away. Maybe kept the coons out of the hen house or whatever. But to Mr. Stricklin's family, this is an important part of their life. And kudos for them for keeping it in such good shape. Now, let me tell you how I got a hold of it. I guess it's been sitting in the closet for years. Someone drug it out and realized it was loaded. And you know how I feel about it. If it's not loaded, it's just a damn rock. Or in this case, it's just been a stick. You can beat somebody's ass with a stick, but you wouldn't want to beat them with a nice old 22 like this. If you look online today, this 22 right here will bring you anywhere between $1,500 and $3,000. That's a lot of damn money for a 22 rifle. Why? The prize collector's items. Now, I'm going to show you a few things about this. It is not loaded, but here's the problem. These guns are meant to be shot, and I'm going to show you how I know that. See how you pump it and it opens up there? Little shell comes out the top. All right, so we slide the action forward and we pull the trigger and it goes. And you'll slide again. But there's a trick to it. If I let this hammer down and I don't let the firing pin go down, let me get it right. There's a trick. There you go. If the firing pin has not been pushed forward, the action will not go back. So we have to make sure that the firing pin, I'm gonna push it forward with my hand. I push that firing pin forward with my hand, now it'll open. It's not meant to sit there unloaded. The thing was meant to shoot. There's no manual safety on it. So once you get a shell in there, it's not meant to just sit in there. It's meant to pull the trigger. So there's a couple of ways you could have done this. You could have just loaded it, not chambered one, or you could have just left it in there like Mr. Stricklin did, and all you gotta do is pull the hammer back and it's ready to go. When we got the weapon, the gentleman I got it from, a friend of mine, thought that 22 short was stuck in there, and so did I. I thought it was stuck. And then as I start taking things and working with it and stuff, I put the rifle back together. And what I did first was I took some rod and went down the center of the barrel thinking, yeah, it's stuck, because I didn't know how to operate. I didn't want to pull the trigger and I couldn't get the slide back, so it won't come back. But if I push that button, push the firing pin forward, it comes back. It's kind of odd, isn't it? So I lucked into what was going on. And then what I did, I took a screw, went down the bottom with a rod and a screw on it, and I twisted that little lead bullet off and got it opened up. Then I poured WD-40 down there so that powder and shit's not any good anymore. Then I was able to get it out. If I'd have only known that all I had to do, look, can't do shit. If all I had to do was gently push the firing pin forward, problem would have been solved. My buddy could have kept it to his house. But I'm glad he didn't know, because it gave me an opportunity to play with an old gun, learn something myself, and you know what? I'm glad he did. I'm gonna give it back to him, because I know the family wants it back. I believe it was his father-in-law. I know his wife probably has a lot of fond memories of her dad. And you know, even though she may not ever pick this up, she'll know it's there. She'll know her dad took very good care of it, that he was probably very proud of it, because in 1952, $675 wasn't a lot of damn money to anybody. So, you know, until it does shoot again, always guys, shoot safe and shoot straight. Whew.